Hi, and welcome to Turra Company, the mother-daughter podcast about everything. Our mission is to make herstory, aka history, not by going viral, but by doing something that has never been done before in our family. Whether we have 2 listeners or 2 million listeners, we are bringing you our very best, and hopefully we are learning and growing together in the process. Now let's enter into the Turra Company experience and create herstory, aka history together. Welcome to Turra Company. Hey y'all.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. What's up?
Hey y'all. It's
Hello.
another great episode of Turra Company. Thank you for joining us. We are so happy that you did. You decided to turn us on. Listen, if you're wondering when you're going to listen to us, let me just give you some hints. Because I'm hearing people say this, and I'm like, what? So people like, well, I haven't listened in a while, you know. And so sometimes when you get behind, it's kind of like it gives you anxiety because you're like, oh, my God, I'm like 20 episodes behind. So let me give y'all some tips on how to catch up. When you get behind, don't try to go back. Go forward. Just listen to the episode that is the latest, and just start
because they don't correlate unless they say
correlate.
Part 1, Part 2, and even at that, our Part 1s and Part 2s really don't even correlate like that.
The one we just did does, so I'm gonna need you to clarify that. It does. You need to listen to Part 1 of Stinking Thinking before you listen to Part 2 because it's different.
I'm just saying,
start where you are. Do not try to think, okay, the last one I listened to was this. Let me go back. Don't do it. Do it like this. Listen to the latest. And if you got more time, then go back. If you don't have time, don't go back. Just keep going forward. That is my public service announcement to all listeners. And listen in your car when you're going somewhere. Number 1. Listen while you're cleaning up. Number 2. Guess what I do? I listen when I'm doing work. I listen and I giggle. It's so funny because I giggle at us. Like I never heard us before. Crazy.
Like you weren't in the room.
Like I wasn't. Like I didn't edit it and listen to it 25 times. Because when I edit it, I listen. Chelsi can't stand to be in the room when I edit.
I can't do it.
Because I go back and I hear it and I go back and I hear it and I go back and I hear it. And she'd be like, oh my God, doesn't that drive you crazy? I was like, but I have to hear it. I'm such a good editor. Anyway. Moving on. That's enough lollygag for me. So welcome to today's show. Guess what our topic is today? Friend or foe? I have a little something about this. So I remember I've been wanting to do a friend show since season 1, but we never could quite formulate how that would look and what it would sound like. So we're going to do it today. We're going to do friend or foe. And we're going to take it from the aspect of, are we friends or foes? And have we had friends or foes? And what does foe mean? Do we know what foes mean?
It's like I always thought of it as a synonym for enemy, or like someone who's just like a combatant.
First of all, what is a synonym?
Synonym.
Okay,
Same.
so let's go to the dictionary.
That's how I always knew what a synonym was.
What is it?
You used to say synonym.
What?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Synonym. Same.
Oh, okay. So listen what the dictionary says. It's a noun, foe, an enemy or opponent.
See?
Yeah. Someone
It's
who
a synonym for enemy.
Somebody who's working against you, and a friend is somebody who works with you.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. So let's get into it. Friend or foe. And it was so important to me to do. And we're probably going to do a couple more episodes on friends in different aspects. And let me tell you why. Some of y'all out there don't know how to be friends. And I'm just putting it out there. Y'all just don't know what it takes. And so y'all need us. And we're here for you. Because I have been running into some folks where I'm like, what is your problem?
What is your deal?
What is happening? So we're going to get into this episode. We're going to identify if we're friends or foes. And if we've come into across some friends or foes. So I want to go first.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to go first.
Go. You go.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, I don't necessarily have like a friend or foe situation. I just think when it comes to like how I am a friend to somebody, I think I've kind of realized that I'm like that all-in friend.
You're loyal.
Yeah, I'm very loyal to the people in my life who I call my friends.
So let me stop you there, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
When you first meet somebody, are you thinking of them as friend? And so let's go back. Coworker, you go to school with them.
You meet them randomly on the street, kind of?
I don't think about them randomly on the street. That one is different. But like coworker. So like you start a new job and you meet a new coworker and y'all vibing. Do you consider that person a friend right away? Or do you be like skeptical right away? How do you encounter those situations?
When it's a coworker situation, I got to feel you out a little bit. I got to see, like what you can handle, what you can't handle, or like, are we on the same page about certain things? And then if I give it a couple of weeks and I see that things are going, good, then I'll, take it outside where I'm like outside of work where it's like, okay, we can,
but I'm saying is that
into a friendship.
Right. So are you saying that for you, it has to go outside when you go outside and do something outside, that's when you consider friend?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just like that all in friend. So, and what through all my experiences, I've learned that I necessarily can't go all in with people just because.
Not right away.
Just not right away because they don't go all in with me.
Yeah.
Which is
too
what
much
I've learned.
Too soon.
Right. To the point where and I don't know, that's just something about my personality. Like once I feel like we vibe, but I want to do stuff with you. I want to hang out with you, text you and stuff like that and just be friends. Mm-hmm. Because I, not too long ago, maybe like a couple years ago, for my 21st birthday, I decided to have a party. And I was so excited. I was like, I had one of my best friends at the time. I was like asking her. I was a little skeptical because of how I knew how my friendships for the most part went. I was a little skeptical. I was like, should I have one? Should I not? Like, what should I do? And she was like, no, like, let's do it. Like, if you think you have enough people who are going to show up, like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So really sat down, thought about it, had it at my grandmother's house, was so excited. Kept asking people. I kept being on social media asking people. Like I would get on my Snapchat all the time. I was like, if I have a party, like who's gonna come? Everyone was like, yeah, I'll come. I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, like yes, like people are gonna come. Day of the party comes. I went and we had so much alcohol. I made Jolly Rancher Jello shots. I had pizza. I had taco. Like it was just gonna be like a nice little just kickback kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Time comes where I'm like, okay, well, let me start sending the address out, for people to come. Excuse after excuse after excuse. To the point where I was like, I just talked to you like last week and you said we was good. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, my mom broke her. Seriously, someone said like my mom hurt her leg and now I got to help her around the house.
You was like, for real?
I was like, what?
You ain't going nowhere?
Nothing. And
not doing
like
nothing?
just for a couple hours.
You can't leave her a little drink and a little snack on the tray?
Right, because I've been to every one of your birthday parties that you've ever had. But like you can't. Exactly.
The self-sacrifice?
Right, just a little bit.
You had that moment of self-sacrifice?
Just a little bit.
Why didn't you do me? Because I did you.
So, I don't know. So then like after that, like now, like after that moment kind of happened, it kind of made me look at, like what I do for friendships a little bit more. Like, just because this is what I consider a friendship doesn't mean that this is what other people consider friendship,
That's true. That is so true because guess what? Everybody that you meet is going to think of a friend as a different thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to hook up with somebody. And sometimes you do make that golden connection where you meet a friend that has the same ideal of friendship.
Yes.
And you link up and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But it's not happening a lot lately. Mm-hmm. People are really, what do you call it? Flaky.
Yeah.
Super flaky. Like they're quick to call themselves your friend, but they don't support. Mm-hmm. They're not loyal. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful with that. And I'm sad that happened because something else happened. I didn't even come to the birthday party.
Yeah. I spent the night at my grandmother's house and I came home the next day and I walked in. She was like, oh my God, like, how was it? Like, how was your party? I was like, Mom, no one came.
Oh, I felt so bad. Because, something was going on in the background with me for the reason why I didn't come, not with Chelsi, but it's a long story. One day we'll tell you. But, so I didn't even go to the party. So I was like, dang, at least if me and Daddy would have came, you'd have had something. But just still turned up a little bit because your uncle, you had some people there. It just wasn't none of the friends that
I invited.
Didn't one girlfriend end up?
So my friend, so it was me, my friend who helped me like plan everything at the time. Who helped me plan everything, and then her friend who I had met one other time, showed up.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Listen, a party can be made with 2, 3, 4, whatever you need to do. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And just because the people didn't come to the party doesn't mean they weren't your friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because sometimes you just have that. You know, we talked about it on the social. What was that? Which episode was that? Social anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes people have social anxiety, and you be like, you want to go. So it's not that those people who said yes in the beginning didn't want to go.
Yeah.
They probably did, but then the moment came and they're probably like, oh, I don't feel like going.
Right, exactly.
So I get that.
So I don't hold anything against the people who I invited who didn't show up.
Right, right. But I think you have a different friend circle now that I think if you were to throw something. Yeah. I just told you this recently. Yes. I think if you were to throw something, I feel like.
Because that's what I tried to do, because my 25th birthday is coming up. So I feel like, this is a kind of another milestone birthday.
When are you going to be 25? This year?
This year.
Oh. Well, you said it like it was coming up like next year. No, are you trying to have a party for the 25th?
I was going to try, but I couldn't. We do not have a party house. My grandma.
Well, I'm having my surgery too.
What did that got to do with me?
Because where you was gonna have it?
I never thought to have it here.
Oh, okay,
because like I was just saying, we don't have a party house.
You're not gonna keep talking about my house like that.
I don't. It's not like kickback. It's just our house is just not our downstairs is just not a very open concept kind of house.
I mean, it is, but it's
you
weird.
could. You just would have to really plan it out.
Right. You'd have
like
to
some
move
people would be in
stuff.
the living room. Some people would be in the dining room, and you do have the little cutout, so you could. You just would have to really think about the layout.
Right.
But we just got too much going on this year to plan a.
And then my grandmother, where I had my 21st birthday, she's in the process of moving, so I can't have it there, and there's too many things have been added into the equation. There's now a dog in that house and everything like that, and I just don't want to deal with that.
True.
And then even trying to get like Airbnbs and stuff like that
you just have to do it. You don't have to do it on a landmark birthday. You can do it next year. You need and good parties take long time.
And what the other thing? And this year my birthday falls on a bad day.
What day is it?
It falls on the Monday. So the weekend before is Christmas, and then the weekend after is New Year's. So
for people who don't know, Chelsi's birthday is the
December
day after.
26th.
We just be giving out all of our personal information on this podcast.
Well, you never know. People might want to send her a gift. We do have a Cash App. They can donate to Chelsi on her birthday, December 26th.
December 26th.
What's wrong with giving somebody's birthday? I think we told yours.
That's how you get doxxed. That's how people steal your identity. But that's beside the point.
Because what is just happening right now?
That's how you steal people's identity. That's how people steal your identity.
She doesn't want you to put your. I think everybody that has a podcast talks about their birthday and says it. I think you're okay.
It's literally public information.
I think it's okay. Yeah. So I think if you plan another one, people will come.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this though. Have you had any real foes? I think you talked about one that put you in their phone as sabotager, but have you ever found a friend that you thought was a friend, but they turned out to be your biggest foe? Like, what is going on? Probably not in your adult life.
Not in my adult life, no.
Because you don't let people get so close to you.
Yeah.
And you know what? The story that I'm going to tell when it's my turn, I find because you have more time on your hands to do this kind of stuff, I find that in your schoolhood days is when you go through that friend or foe more, I think, than in your grown-up life. Because in your grown-up life, you're meeting people wherever you're meeting them, and you're making friends or not, you hanging out or not, and you don't have, I don't give people that much opportunity to show me that they're foe, because I start seeing little things, I'm done, and I'll be like, I wish you well. Mm-hmm. So that's why I just was wondering, but not really.
No, not
really.
You
just had a recent situation, but I think you talked about it already.
Yes.
Where somebody just snapped out on you on text.
Right. And I was like, we not about to do this. I'm about to shut this down.
Right. Because it's kind of crazy.
Right.
But that's another example, Chelsi, of you thought somebody was a friend and then they just ticked out because they felt like they made up a rule that you should have been loyal to their point, but you were like, I'm not even involved in this.
Right.
So why would I be loyal to either one? It's so stupid. Like, that kind of stuff just drives me crazy. And it tells me about your character. And it tells me how I'm going to move forward with you or not. So my friend or foe story is, because I was the only child for so long, I am going to be totally honest. Friends to me are everything. Like, my friends are like, if I'm down with you, I am down with you. I'm going to love on you. I'm going to bless you, give you opportunities to bless me, whatever. But I remember when I was in the 6th grade, I remember I met a young lady and we were calling ourselves best friends. And we were best friends from the 6th grade to a little after 12th grade, right? And I'm going to tell you, this girl had me running. She had me running. And I just, for some reason, I was so caught up in the friendship, I could not even see that that's not how friends treat friends. I was so caught up in wanting to be her friend that I couldn't even dig my way out of, this is not what friends do. So just to give you some examples, like, she had me just, so if you know how sometimes back, you got to remember, no cell phones. So we ain't talking about no texting. We talking about calling on a landline phone. Okay. Yikes. Landline. So this is long time ago.
The one
this
is
in the 80s.
In the kitchen?
This was in the 80s. This was in the 80s. And what we did was, you just would, the pastime, because we didn't have video games and all that stuff. You either went outside and played or you was on the phone. So every once in a while I would call and, we would talk back and forth. But you had to watch everything that you said to her, because I could say, we could be talking and I could say one thing and she'd be like, what?
Right.
What do you mean? And then she would hang up.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then I would call back. I would find myself calling back, apologizing for something that I didn't even know what I had done.
You did wrong.
And I'm like, what just happened? So now every time I'm talking to you, I got to guard what I say. I can't just be me. I got to say what I think you want to hear, because I never knew when she was going to snap out. It was so, and I can't even say that I was miserable at the time. All that I can say is, at the time that I was trying to cure this friendship or work on this friendship, I just was chasing after her. So 6th grade came, end of 6th grade came, and for some reason, this day she woke up, I guess, choosing violence, and she just decided she wasn't speaking to me. Because she would always do this thing where we weren't speaking.
Yeah.
So into 6th grade comes, summer comes, we're not speaking. I'm like, okay, whatever. We're just not going to be friends. So 7th grade comes, and everybody knew that we were best friends. Everybody knew, because we all went to the same school. I went to private school, so we was all in the same grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It was the same people. And so people knew, and so people were like, what's up with you and her? And I would be like, whatever. Not wanting to be, into it, but just, So middle of 7th grade comes, we become friends again, right? But I'm still watching what I say. Because I could say blue, and she would go to the moon, and I'd be like, what the frick is happening? And then she used to, keep score. So she would go, well, we came to pick you up and take you there. How come you never pick me up and take me there? Well, you know how my mother is. I don't have no right. My mama had all 3 cars in the driveway. The rule was she wasn't taking me nowhere like that. So if you wanted me to come to something, you had to come get me. I'm sorry. And she used to always keep score. I did this for you. You did that for me. So the final breaking point was, my mother had bought me a car. She actually bought me 2 cars. One was a stick shift, and I couldn't learn to drive it. So she ended up buying me another one that was automatic. So I get the car, and I call her, and I say, girl, I got my car. I'm about to come over. And she hangs up the phone. Click. And I was like, what the hell? So I call back, and I'm like, what just happened? I said, why did you hang up? And she goes on this rant about, you got a car and you ain't come over here. I was like, hello.
That's why I just called you.
Literally just called you to see where you're home, because I was about to drop by. Well, that don't make no sense. I mean, she made this big deal about it. And you know what? I hung up the phone and I said, you know what? That's enough. Because that is crazy. enough is enough. And I never spoke to her again. I've never seen her again. I've never spoken to her again. And I went through that, I think, so that I could know what a real friend looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you go through things like that, you're like, when you're going through them, you're like, oh, woe is me. But once I found my new best friend that I have now, and it's such a different world, so much better. Like, we don't go through none of that because she ain't tripping. Once I became friends with her, I kind of was trying to bring a little bit of baggage from the other one, but I was like, no, I had to keep talking to myself. No, this is a different person. We're not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was so different, but it made me appreciate my current best friend so much more because I was like, because I went through that madness, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, she is nothing like, best friend A. Best friend B is so much better than best friend A. Like, she don't be tripping about nothing. We could just kick it. We do what we do and we go. And everybody knows who best friend B is because if you know me, you know her. But it just was so crazy. And I was like, that was a foe. And I let it go on way too long because I thought, if I just act how she wants me to act, then we'll be friends and it'll be peaceful. It was never peaceful because once I would transform, let me say this, the lesson I learned. If it's a real friend, you don't have to change. You don't have to transform. You talk how you talk. You do what you do. They might check you every once in a while and be like, girl, you out of pocket. But for the most part, they ain't trying to change you to the point where you you scared to say something and they gonna flip out. And that's what was going on. But like I said, I'm so glad that happened. At the time I wasn't, but I'm glad it happened because it allowed me to find and appreciate new friends. So I got that. That's my friend or foe story.
It's funny that you talk about having friends that basically essentially meet you where you are.
Yes.
They'll check you every once in a while, but for the most part, they don't try to change you.
Right.
And in my history of friendships, I'm not going to say that I'm a bad friend because I don't think I'm a bad friend necessarily. I think I could learn how to be a better friend communicator because I'm one of the kinds of people who I tend to go ghost on people.
Yeah, Ariel's like a dude. That's what I was going to say. Ariel, if you're friends with Ariel, you need to treat her like a dude friend because Ariel ain't going to call you.
No.
She ain't going to be reaching out via text. She just, if you call her or text her, she'll respond.
Yeah.
But she ain't going to be initiate.
Not immediately. I might not respond like right then and there.
Yeah,
but
you do like a dude. You like a dude.
I am.
I mean, you're not a dude, but you do stuff. You make your moves like a dude. And that's probably why your best friend is a dude. Because y'all get it. That's probably it.
But yeah, I've had like a lot of friends in the past. Not a lot, but I've had my fair share of friends in the past that would girlfriends who'd like tried to change me and said that
just nut up for no reason.
None. And like one of the things that
is telling the story.
I'm giving her help.
Yeah, she is, and it's fine.
It's like ad-libbing in the back.
All right, Quavo. Anyways, but you're not wrong. And what's really funny to me is I really don't like to say this, but it really kind of makes me feel some type of way about myself. The fact that I haven't been able to keep and maintain female friendships or girl friendships.
But you shouldn't. But
you're right. I shouldn't feel bad about that because you're right. I do have a lot of like dude-ish tendencies. Like I'm not going to text you every day. I'm not going to ask like, oh my gosh, let's go to the mall. Like in college, my like girlfriend group, they would have to drag me out places. Like they would have to basically be like, come on, Ariel, let's go. And I'm like, I mean, I guess. Okay. Like I'm a homebody. I like to stay at home. I didn't like going out to clubs. I still kind of don't. I didn't like going to parties. Still kind of don't. I would rather sit at home in my own apartment, in my own place, in my own space so that I can control kind of who's in my area and who's in my space because I'm very protective of my energy. I'm very protective of being around people who make me feel good or people who I just genuinely want to be around. Like when I was in college and when me and my roommates had our own like little apartment, people would come to my place, or I would go to one other person's house. Like, that was it. Like, I wasn't like at so-and-so's house one weekend and then at another house the next weekend. No, I was either at home or I was at my best friend's house. That was it. That's where I was. And I have found that a lot of the female friendships that I've had, they've kind of tried to change that part of me. And whereas my dude friends, they don't care.
Right.
Like, they were like, my dude friends, it's not even just that they were like dude friends that would like go out and party. They were the ones that were like sitting at home playing video games. Like, that's what we did together. Like, that was our thing. Mm-hmm. I would probably just sit in the background and watch them play video games because I was not good at them, and that wasn't like what I really wanted to do, but I was happy to be involved. But I found that a lot of the female friendships that I had, they tried to change me, mm-hmm. and they tried to kind of make me into this person that I just wasn't.
Right.
It's not my ministry, and that's not how I operate, and that's fine. Another thing that I found in like my female friendships, like when I was in college or when I was in high school, is that I'm not a very catty person, and I'm not. And
you're not trying to gossip.
I'm not trying to gossip, and I'm not going to argue with you. Mm-hmm. Like, we've talked about this before on previous episodes, like, not like, are you for the drama? I'm not for it. Like, that's not, I want to be as far away removed from it as humanly possible. So if two people are beefing, I'm not about to bring myself into it. I'm not going to pick sides.
Right.
And that's another thing
neutral.
Right. I'm neutral. I'm not going to pick sides, because another thing that I've noticed is that when you pick sides like that, you alienate another person. And to me, there's probably a good reason for why somebody did something.
Right.
I say all of this to say, I think I've mentioned it in the past, but I'll go a little bit more into it, is I had a friendship when I was in college, and I had like my core group of friends that I hung out with from freshman year to, at this point, I think it was like my junior year of college. And I still, to this day, do not know what I did to set this person off.
Because you probably didn't do nothing.
Like, I think I know. Like, I think it had something to do with the fact that me and my other friend were late to like dinner.
How dare you?
Right. Like, that was...
Who was never late to something?
Right. And it wasn't even my fault. That's the other part that makes me like annoyed, is it wasn't even my fault, because I didn't drive. So the person who was driving was that was the reason why we were late. But I digress.
But she probably was saving up rocks in her backpack for you, and that was the last rock.
Right. But the part that still to this day makes me so annoyed and really just butters my biscuit, mm-hmm. is when the whole thing went down, mm-hmm. and when everything came to a head, mm-hmm. this person sent me a text message and was like, well,
with a $5 bill at the end of it?
No, it was a long paragraph. That's why I'm like weary of paragraph text messages. They kind of trigger me a little bit. This person was just like, you should have said something, and basically saying that I should have came to them if I thought that they had an issue. But the problem was, I didn't think we had an issue, because like I've said in past episodes, I don't be thinking that people be talking about me. I don't think that people be subbing me. I do not think about like people's emotions in that moment. Like, that's not where my head is.
You gotta tell me.
You have to tell me. I'm not a mind reader. And that was the same thing I said. I am not a mind reader. And then they came back to me and was like, well, you didn't have to be a mind reader. That's not what you said. Don't do me like that. But that was my negative experience with...
That was your foe.
That was my foe.
But you know what? The thing about foes is they come in disguise. Because if I know the girl that you're talking about, but I don't know her. You know, mm-hmm. I've seen her, whatever. But most foes, the foes that I have come across, is they start out one way, right? Mm-hmm. They're usually the most gracious, the most friendliest people you've ever met. Mm-hmm. And so it makes you think, okay, we can go further with this.
Right.
And so you do. You go further, you go deeper. And then one day they snap out of nowhere and you're like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah. And to them, it's completely valid. But to you on the other side of it, you're just like, where is this coming from?
Where is this coming from? Because you didn't see it coming. Because they've been taking rocks mm-hmm. that they feel like you have provided, and they're putting them in this heavy backpack. And now the one little pebble that you do and it might have been offensive. They take that pebble, and that's the last thing that the backpack can fit is that pebble, and they go off. And it's like, first of all, being a friend is being able to come to somebody and say, hey, you got a minute? I want to talk to you about this, that, or the other. That's how a friend who wants to work through something does something.
Mm-hmm.
A foe is a person that is going to come to you all aggressive and you can't even get your point across. It's you. Everything is about you. You did this and you did this and you did this. And they haven't done anything but be your friend. And you're like, no, that's not it. And if you really pay attention to the foes that you have come across, you're always apologizing. It's always you. Oh, I'm sorry that I did that.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry that happened. I'll try to be better. It's almost like an abusive relationship because they're beating you 100%. Down with their behavior and their words.
And they're gaslighting you into thinking that it's your fault.
Yes. Yeah. And so after a while, you just have to snap out of it and be like, I'd rather have no friends than friends that are constantly having me on the defense. Like I should be able to say what I want to say. And if you don't like it, first of all, check yourself. Why didn't you like what I said? Was it true and you didn't like it? Or was it not true? And then come to me.
Because that's a separate conversation. Because if I said something to you and you just don't like it, that's one thing. But if I said something to you and it wasn't true, like that's a values issue. And that's something that we need to work out and something that needs to be hashed out. If you don't like what I say just because it's true and because it's like not the way you wanted it, and that's
on them.
Yeah, that's on them. And that's something that I struggle with too, so I get it. But also at the same time, you have to have that sort of self-regulation of this is, I need to check this.
But they're not doing that. They're going through a foe. I feel like a foe is this person that has penetrated your life in one form or way. And like I said, they always start out as the friendliest, as the best. Like most people who have gone through this, if they think about it, they didn't even see the train coming, right? That hit them. And so you're just moving about your way, being who you are, and they're mad because you are who you are. It's like one day they wake up and they're like, well, I don't like you because of this. Or I don't. And really it might, my favorite thing to say. Jealousy. Yeah. Jealousy be the underbelly of all of this stuff.
The underlay to the overlay.
All of that. Because you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? We were friends. We were doing this. We were doing good. And those paragraphs, them text messages, let me tell y'all something about Turra. Stop doing it. If you're in my life and you think I've offended you, please do not send me this long paragraph telling me in a text how your feelings are, because I don't read it. I'm just going to be honest, because you can call me and we can talk it out. Because the text, think about it. That's a one-sided conversation, right? So you just told me all your stuff. I might have said all my stuff when we were in person or on the phone or wherever we had our exchange, because I'm that type of individual. I'm going to tell you what I think. Now you want to wait, get off the phone with me or leave me and send me a 2-paragraph text that's telling me all the things that you think about me and how it should have went, and bye.
And they're also like expecting to get a reaction out of you. I feel like people who send the paragraphs, they want a paragraph back.
You know what you get from me?
Nothing.
No. I do better than nothing. I say, okay. Let somebody see you a 2-page, 3-page text, and then you just say okay or K. Right. They're gonna be like, what? Did she read it? Did she read it? And she couldn't have read it. Let me send it again. No, don't send it again. Guess what? That's not how I do stuff. If you really, really want to solve something with me, first of all, do not try to come in my life and manipulate a result. Second of all, do not try to come in my life and be lying. Third of all, don't come in my life.
Just leave. The door is that way.
Because it's not that serious. You can come or you can go. But these text messages about how you feel about stuff, it has to stop. Stop doing it. Like, because before there was text, you used to have to talk to somebody.
Or what were you going to do? Write a letter? Like that?
Nobody was writing letters. You know what they was doing? They was talking to people on the phone. They was talking it out or not. Listen. if you got that big of a problem with me that you got to send me a 2-paragraph text, then that means we don't need to be together. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we normalizing the first and last date, we're going to normalize friends recognizing that they not friends.
Mm-hmm. that they need to separate. I say all of that to say, even with my not so good, my negative experiences, I've had a pretty good experience the whole time with my current best friend.
Absolutely.
Or as Chelsi describes, my one friend.
That's all you need. Quality versus quantity.
And one of the things that, like I said, I'm not necessarily a bad friend myself. It's that I like what I like. I like going ghost on people. I like going MIA. I like being to myself sometimes. But as soon as I'm deciding to come out of that cocoon, I'll reach out to you. I'll talk to you. I'll text you. I'll do those kinds of things. And my best friend understands that.
Yep.
Like my best friend and I, we don't talk on the phone. We'll text each other through an app called like Discord, and we'll sometimes like maybe like once or twice a month have like an hour and a half long like Discord call where we'll just talk about any and everything. And then we'll text each other every once in a while. But I'm like a very low maintenance friend who also needs very low maintenance friends. Mm-hmm. And the only caveat I have to that is it makes it hard for me to make new friends. But I've been, over the last couple of years, with my concerts that I travel to by myself and the festivals that I go to by myself, I've been trying to put myself out of that comfort zone. Like, for example, I have met some of the coolest people and just down-to-earth people that I've ever known just going to concerts, and like just because that's my hobby, that's my interest. So I've met some people through that I talk to every once in a while, and that we check in with each other, and we like, we see each other and all of we don't see each other very often, but we interact and we talk to each other every once in a while. And that's kind of what I need as a friend. Like, those are the things. I don't need somebody who says that who needs to text me every day. I don't need to be around somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to, I need to talk to you every once a week or else I'm not your friend.
Right.
That's not how I view friendship.
Right.
Friendship to me is, can I come to you and can we hang out and have a good time?
But let me ask y'all this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do this when you meet a new friend? Like, sometimes you meet a new friend and you vibing really good, and then you be like, wait a minute.
What's the catch?
Right. No, not even that. But you be like, wait a minute. Are they as friends with me as I am with them?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh. Do you ever ask yourself that? Because you feel like you be going too deep. Mm-hmm. You be like, well, let me check the friend meter.
No.
Like, do you feel like we friends? Because I feel like we friends. Is we friends?
No. And what's funny is that's kind of how I felt a little bit with my best friend. Is I have to every once in a while be like, am I really as good friends as I think? And he was like, no, you're good. And I feel so bad because I'm sure there are plenty of people who have met me and feel the same about me.
Like, they want to be really, really friends with you? Like, but you ain't friends with them?
No, here's the thing. Since like I said, I'm such a distant friend and I don't need to talk to you every day. Mm-hmm. I bet you there are people who have come across me or come in contact with me who might even be listening to this podcast or whatever and just be like, wow, I thought Ariel was so cool, but I never heard from her again. Don't think of that as me being like, I didn't like you. That's just how I am. I'm just not like
You're not a good friend.
I be getting students like, because I work at a school, they be like, Chelsi, they're like, can we like hang out? I be having to tell them, be like, you guys, we can't.
No,
like,
that's
what?
a conflict of interest.
Yeah, and then they be trying to play. It's like, well, where are you gonna be this weekend? Because they know I be going out and stuff like that. They're gonna be, where are you gonna be this weekend? What if I just so happen? I said,
no.
I'm leaving, walking out the back door.
Ariel, you're not a good friend for. And I'm not saying that you're not a good person. Mm-hmm. Separate the two. Uh-huh. You're just not a good friend. A friend is that person that you want to hang out with. You're just an acquaintance.
Yeah, I'm probably just...
Acquaintances can go ghost. Friends, you be like, you talk to them, you hang out, you building.
Yeah.
You ain't building, so...
You know what's really funny?
You're a good acquaintance.
I am a very good acquaintance. You know what's really funny? And he's going to come up a lot more in my life now because he's like, John has kind of like worked his way in, is he has friends. Like he has like...
Who are we talking about? I'm sorry.
John. He has like a court, like, and they're good people.
John, your boyfriend?
John, my boyfriend. Yeah.
I just was making sure.
Yes, John, my boyfriend.
Because I thought she might have been talking about Gabe.
She clearly said John.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
John about friends. That's a boyfriend.
Still a friend.
When did we? Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, so he has like, friends that he hangs out with because he's a good friend. I could probably stand to learn a lot from him in like the friendship department. But he's like actually like a good friend to people. Like people like hanging around him and like invite him to places and all of that good stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I'm good. But I say all of that to say, being around him and being in a relationship with him is kind of dragged me out of my comfort zone of like being around people. And like, I think I got lucky because he's got some pretty good friends. So like they're pretty cool people.
Yeah,
so.
But just remember that they're his friends.
They're not my friends.
He gets to take them if y'all split.
Oh,
I'm not saying that y'all gonna split, but I'm just saying keep that in mind.
But you just
get your own friends.
This is gonna sound so bad saying it out loud, but this is a safe space, so I'm gonna say it here. I was in a relationship in college for like a good couple of years, right? And when my ex and I broke up, I got most of the friends in the breakup, in the divorce, if you will. And it felt like, in hindsight, like saying it out loud feels so bad, but it felt so good to realize that like I got the friends and the friends. Because usually, this is off topic, but if you get the friends after the breakup, that means that you were probably the one that was right.
You're the cooler person.
You're the cooler person. You probably are the one that was right in the breakup if something went down. Like that's usually, hopefully, if the friends are good people, that's how that goes. And that like sounds really bad in the first place.
If you my friend and me and Neil break up, you better still be my friend. You better not go with Neil.
Right. But,
even though everybody probably will go with Neil because everybody loves Neil. But listen.
I don't know about that.
They do. Everybody be loving Neil. Like they be like, what did you do?
Like that.
They be like, what did you do? And I'll be like, I didn't do nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I just, I've always been that way. Neil would have friends. It's just a natural thing to do, right? So Neil would have friends and then they get girlfriends and then the expectation is that I would be friends with the girlfriend. But I used to have to tell Neil early on, I'm a unique person and I don't fit with everybody. So when he would have the double dates, we would have the double dates. A lot of times I didn't mesh and I didn't try to mesh. If I don't mesh with you, I don't mesh with you. And I ain't saying mess. I'm saying mesh. MESH.
Yeah.
If I don't mesh with you, then I'm not going forward just because you Neil's friend's girl.
Yeah.
But, and sometimes we get lucky. Like there's sometimes when they would have significant others where I'd be like, oh my God, they're so cool. I love them, blah, blah, blah. But it would be sometimes where I'm like, I'm not just going to be friends with them because like it's very rare that I have been friends, like really friends with Neil's friends' girls. I will be, but we're not super close because guess what the commonality is? This is how I think. The commonality is the friend. So I don't get to talk to you about Neil because you can go back to friend and tell friend what I said about Neil and then friend can come back to Neil. You see how that goes? So I got to have my own friends because when I talk about Neil, I need to know that it's a safe space.
Oh yeah, to me that is the most important thing about being in a relationship. Be a safe space of having your own friends and them having their own friends.
Yeah, because I got to be able to vent. Shoot.
But yeah, his friends are his friends and my friends are my friends, and I think that they can intermingle, but
your acquaintances are your acquaintances.
My acquaintances
not a
are
good
I don't have friends.
I have one.
She does have friends. They just more acquaintances than friends. All right. So that sounds like a good show. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Friends or foe. Are you a good friend? Think about that as you go through your week this week. Are you a good friend? Do you feel like you are a good friend to people? I show up as a very good friend because I'm very loyal to people, right? I will give you your space though too. Like we always say, I will take a break. Like if stuff is clashing, because it happens. If stuff starts clashing, then I'll pull back. I will not call as much. I'm not a texter, so I won't. You don't got to worry about that. You don't got to worry about no 2-page text from me because that's silly to me. Don't 2-page text me. Say what you got to say. And if I hang up on you, that means the conversation is done. If we get into an argument over the phone and I hang up, you don't get to text me. the conversation is dead. So those are just some tips when you're dealing with me. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to another great show. Hopefully you have fun with this one. But think about it. Are you friend or are you foe? I would love to interview somebody that was a foe. But most foes don't know that they're foe.
Yeah.
They think that they're a friend. Yeah. So be thinking about it. Are you seriously a friend? Are you there when people need you? Are you loyal to the people? Are you accepting the people that you call friend for who they are, how they are, and not trying to change them? Those are friends. Or are you trying to change them? Every little thing they say is blowing you up. You want to go off on them every minute. That's foe. Mm-hmm. You don't have good things to say. You always gossiping about the person. Foe. That's not a friend. So think about those things as you go about your week this week. We thank you for listening. We ask that you continue to follow us on our social medias for show updates, clips, and the like. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Okay, bye, people.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We look forward to you joining us on the next episode. Until then, be inspired and enlightened.